Hello and welcome to the Best Games Period. I'm Daniel Jones. I will be your host tonight. It's just me flying solo for an honorable mention episode. This episode is going to talk about a mobile game. Yeah, a mobile game. Now, our honorable mentions are games that we choose, that we typically think are great, and we like them a lot. My previous one was Turok, but there are also games that we don't think necessarily hold up on an objective level as a, quote, best game, period. So, Alto's Adventure is a wonderful game, and personally, I would probably put it in, like, my top 100, maybe. My personal top 100. But I wouldn't necessarily put it in my top 10, or even my top 20. So, I wanted to talk about Alto's Adventure because nobody really talks about Alto's Adventure. It's a mobile game. It is basically an endless runner. It's a game developed by a company called Snowman. It coincidentally is, or not coincidentally, is a snowboarding game. So it's a snowboarding game, but when you look at it, you don't see like extreme, this isn't SSX tricky or anything. This isn't even Skate. Not Skate. Snow, the new one that's coming out. It's not a simulation. It's a mobile game. And it is an endless runner. But it's got style and panache that endless runners just usually do not have. I downloaded this game in 2015 when it came out in February. It came out on iOS. It's since come out on Google Play as well, so you can get it there. And I was just enamored with it. It was one of my favorite games of last year because I couldn't stop playing it. Every time I had an idle moment, I just popped that game on, and it's just so... The best word to describe Alto's Adventure is zen. It is incredibly zen. When I'm playing it, no matter where I am, work, home, a burning building, crashing bus, it doesn't matter. I'm totally in the zone, and I'm zen because I'm playing Alto's Adventure. It's fantastic. A lot of stuff has happened around me that I'm just oblivious to because I've been playing this game. No. It's almost akin to Journey in a lot of ways, roll your eyes all you want because I have to talk about Journey every episode. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But it really is, in so many ways, like Journey. And I've actually interviewed Ryan Cash, who is the director of this game. And he did say to me specifically that Journey was a big influence on them. Another influence on the team when building this game was the game Monument Valley for iPhone, for iOS. And so the thing about Monument Valley was not only were they influenced a little bit by the art direction, it's a very stylized, painterly game with very muted, simplistic visuals, very clean and crisp, and it always feels serene, no matter what time of day it is in the game. It's sunny and the sun is in the background high in the sky, or the sun is setting and it's falling behind the mountains behind you, or there's thick snow coming down, or there's heavy rain coming down. No matter what it's like, what's going on in the game, it's zen and it's just chill. But what he had mentioned to me as being a big influence from Monument Valley was simply the fact that they decided not to make this game free to play, which really works for Alto's Adventure. It wouldn't have been a good game without being free to play. You can almost see that they were maybe playing around with ideas of not being free to play because you have many different borders, snow borders that you can unlock as you go along. And there are a lot of milestones that you have to hit. But whether that was their intention or not, they made it work really well And Alto's Adventure, if all of a sudden, between levels you had to watch a video or there was a little pop-up ad on the bottom of the screen during the levels, it would have just completely ruined how clean and just minimalist the design of that game is and the look of that game. So if you haven't tried Alto's Adventure, I believe it's $2 on the App Store and on the Google Play Store. It's $2. And I probably have played it, I would say probably put in over 20 hours into this game. At least, if not double that. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe you can keep track. I don't know. Can you keep track of that on iOS? I have no idea. But I still haven't reached every last milestone. I'm on like milestone 50 something. And each milestone gives you 3 things that you have to do. And so let's backtrack a little bit. What Alto's Adventure is about is it's about, I think it's a girl originally that is on these mountains on the slopes, and she's trying to watch after. Her job is to watch after a herd of llama. So, is it llama or llamas? That's a good question. If you know if the plural of llama is llamas, let me know. But I'm gonna say it's llama. No, that doesn't sound right. All right, whatever. Either way, llamas. Yeah, I think llamas. So anyway, her job is to watch after llamas, and there's like an earthquake or an avalanche. There's an avalanche, and it scares the llamas off, and the llamas. So you're not running from an avalanche, just so you know. That's not what the game's about at all. But something scares the llamas off, and so all the llamas scatter all through the mountain, and it's her job to fly down the mountain and collect the llamas. And as you go, you get points for collecting the llamas. You get points for collecting these little shiny dot things, and you can spend those on upgrades. And I think you can spend the llamas on upgrades as well. And as you go, you have 3 objectives in each milestone. So, like I said, there's 50 plus milestones in the game, and each milestone has 3 objectives. One objective might be simply, do a run without collecting any llamas. Actually, I don't think that's an objective. That kind of sounds like a dumb objective. But another objective is like get a certain amount of trick points in one run, or fly over 5 gaps in one run. Or every once in a while in the game, you'll come across what are called elders. And these elders are little dudes, older dudes, they're elderly, who are snowboarding, and they're just chilling at a campfire. And so you pass them. Typically you fly over them, and that pisses them off. And they'll have none of this young whippersnapper beating them down the slopes. So they decide to start racing you. But they're not snowboarding. They're actually like they're riding a llama. So they're cheating. But they go to catch you, and you have to outrun them. And if you don't, then your run ends. But as you go, you have to do flips. And when you do a flip, you get a little speed boost. So you have to keep doing those flips. But what Alto's Adventure does really well is that's all it is. That's all the trick system is just doing flips. There's really not anything else. There's grinding. You can grind on surfaces, and that's neat. You can do double flips, and if you're really lucky, you can pull off a triple flip. There's few jumps in the game that you're really able to do that on. But the more you flip, the faster you go. And as you go, you build up this scarf. So if you didn't believe me that the game is inspired by Journey, you will now. As you flip, your scarf builds and grows longer. So when your scarf is full, you get the ability to fly. You get a wingsuit. And I think the wingsuit is a reward. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the wingsuit is a reward or an upgrade after you hit a certain amount of milestones. And it's been so long since I unlocked the wingsuit. I am not completely sure, but I'm about 80% positive that you get this wingsuit about 20 milestones in, maybe. And that opens up a whole new avenue of playing, because now instead of just doing flips, you can fly. And once you build up your wingsuit, you can fly over levels, you can hover, you can do what they call a proximity wingsuit, which is where you're flying really close. So you do all this with one touch. It's just tapping your phone. You just tap the phone, you tap and hold to do a flip. And you have to, the thing about doing a flip or even flying the wingsuit, specifically with the flips, you have to hold it until your board is even with the land, with the ground. So say you're flipping and you're coming to land on a hill. If that hill's going upward, you better tilt your board upward. You better hold it till the board tilts all the way up so that you land evenly with that hill. If you go into that hill with your board horizontal, you're going to wipe out. And it's really elegant and really smooth, and it works every time. And it's not a game that's about the tricks. It's not about pulling off sick stunts. It's about simply the zen of being on a snowboard in the woods by yourself, just you, the mountain, the snow, and your board, and the wind, and animals. Like it's incredibly chill, incredibly zen, and for $2, I can't recommend it highly enough. Like, it's just a fantastic game. There's not much more that I can really say about it. It's not incredibly deep, but for whatever reason, I've played through it so much. I mean, you don't finish it, but I've played it for hours upon hours upon hours. That's coming from the guy who's played through Journey probably about 20 times in my life as well. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. But Alto's Adventure just doesn't get the kind of recognition that I believe it deserves. I was reading Kotaku had the 12 best mobile games, and Alto's Adventure is one of them. They recommend it very highly, so I appreciated that. And I just want to talk about the team that made it before I go. When this was the first game they made, Snowman was an app creator, and they had been very successful. They had made an app called Checkmark, which is kind of an alternative to the Reminders app. So it's just a better way to schedule things for yourself, to plan out your day. And it's a productivity app. It is not a video game. It is not a game of any means. But Ryan Cash, the game's director, and the team, he told me that they're all snowboarders. They're all avid snowboarders, and they decided that they wanted to make a game that on mobile that represented people like them and represented the feeling of going down the slopes alone. Like, I've not snowboarded, but I've skied, and there's something really special about those moments where you look around and you can't see other people, which is rare if you're on a busy slope. But I've been to some ski spots where, I go down a clearing through the woods and it's just me. and there's just wood all over the place. There's trees, there's branches sticking out of the side, but it's just me on this clearing through the snow. Alto's Adventure captures that incredibly well, and it's a mobile game. It's an endless runner, and it's doing that, and there's something really admirable about that. I really appreciate it. So he said that's what they really were going for. That's what they wanted to do. And he said to me, with a productivity app, there's a specific task you're trying to achieve, so it's more concrete. But you have to figure out the best way to do it while making something pleasing to use. With a game, it has to be fun. That's probably the hardest challenge in making a game. Games are a lot more creative, though, and a lot more fun to make. He would go on to say, there's no doubt that we would make more money if we added in-app purchases like coin packs or silly hats and that kind of stuff. So he's not even talking about, unlocking upgrades. He's talking about just cosmetic stuff. But those kind of things never sat well with us. If we ever add any in-app purchases, it'll be in the same vein as Monument Valley's Forgotten Shores DLC. So that's the mindset that they had with this game. And unfortunately, they haven't updated it with any DLC since. And that could very well be with just because they didn't sell as many copies as maybe they were hoping to. I think it's had a longer tail than maybe most games would. But probably no longer than, most of the more popular mobile games out there. So if you haven't played, so basically this is me evangelizing Alto's Adventure because I really admire it. I really like it. If you haven't played it, check it out. If you have, let me know. And we'll be back next week with another episode. I was doing a live stream last night for Extra Life. I'm very tired. We're all very tired. Jack was doing the Game Informer live stream for 24 hours, and they raised over $51,000, which is incredible, and it's awesome. Some of that was some that my friend Joe and I raised last night doing our live stream. We only live streamed for about 8 hours. We went from 7 at night to 3 in the morning. So we had a lot of fun, but I'm glad that there's a year before we have to do it again because I'm tired. So if you want to check out the rest of our episodes, go to community.extra-life.org. Go to iTunes, find the Best Games Period. Go to YouTube Best Games Period. You can find an episode on there that Jack recently uploaded of our Ocarina of Time episode. It's a good one. And you can also find the show on Game Informer as well as on SoundCloud and Libsyn, our hosting site. You can find us on Twitter at Best Games Period. Every Monday we will be posting the show. I did do a poll for our previous game, which was I should remember this. I posted a poll for our previous episode in which we covered Dead Space because it was Halloween. That's what it was. And overwhelmingly, everybody agreed with Jack and Jeremy that Dead Space is, in fact, a Best Games Period. They did not agree with me for pretty much a majority. It was not even close. So, whatever. Y'all are probably right. I'm probably wrong in that case, but whatever. So that was episode XX of the Best Games Period, in which I covered Alto's Adventure, an honorable mention for iOS and Google Play. Check it out if you haven't. It's really elegant. It's really fun. It's really simple. Just play it and have a good time. Until next week, I will see every single one of you listeners on the flippity, flippity, dippity. Yeah, that's right. Double.